Parliament is not a platform for business. It's a place where we talk about issues that concern the common persons. And we would appreciate it if our members of Parliament really did just that. And by the way, it is the place where government is supposed to be held to account. So if you are the one supposed to chase the thief and you now turn yourself into the thief, then it becomes a problem. For now, we would be having another leader who would know that he would be answerable to the population, who would know that a time would come and he gets out of that office and goes back to the same community where he came from. The speaker is supposed to be independent in that constitution. It talks of an independence of the speaker who is going to preside over Parliament as an independent actor. But that independence, we can't see it. Why? Because a speaker belongs to a political party. All this corruption is coming in because many people, while reaching offices, each one of them is getting as much as they can because the controls are not there. And even the way people come into offices, when someone has been recommended by the president, it's not easy for people to touch you. That is why we found a problem when we were following up the money during the Temangalo saga. The president stood up and said, UNRMs, defend the Secretary General. Here it is not about Temangalo, it's about Temamto, it's your party. It's our duty as citizens to stand up and use our power that is given to us by Article 1 of the Constitution and demand for accountability from our leaders. This impunity must stop. Before you know it, you will find your homes taken.
Omusumba ye n'asaba n'agamba bagawugule gagende wakumuluma 13
era mbyagalira ddala pulezidenti wange
betwasaba bajje batusabire tebakoze eki tebalabise tugenda kwekalakasa paka
What is happening around Parliament, like he has said, is a reflection of what we are grappling with as a country to try to fight corruption, to try to fight mismanagement and abuse of office. And what bothers us as a people is the impunity with which government officers do things. Institutions of governance have broken down to the extent that whoever goes into an office becomes the institution in that office. Parliament, the one in charge of Parliament, becomes Parliament and is the institution that everything around Parliament will revolve around an individual. When you get to the executive, the head of the executive becomes the executive. That everything around the executive revolves around an individual to the extent that even when we have the investments, the Uganda Investments Authority, the president is still the chairman of the Investments Authority by the look of things. Because when you see every land giveaway that has happened in this country, it is around the instructions of the president. To the extent that the Investments Authority has very little to do when the president has put his nod to an investor who comes into the country. The giveaway of Luzira is yet another issue that highlights the governance challenges that we have. That one man just wakes up in the morning without even informing Parliament and says, you know, this whole Uganda is mine, I pass on whichever part of land I want and I give it to whoever I like. He started with the land opposite Mulago Hospital, the one which was for doctors. They transformed it into CMI. When he was done with whatever he wanted to do with the land, and possibly he thought now the way to get it to better was to put it into CMI, detach it from Mulago, give it to CMI. From CMI, they have just given it to Sudir, and we know who Sudir represents. We come to Shimoni. He gives Shimoni to whoever he wanted, dislocates Shimoni. Shimoni is nowhere. We now have a kingdom something, the Kampala kingdom. We have the UBC land which was just taken, and now there is a Pearl of Africa hotel. When we come to the people who are taking land, the investors, I don't know whether as a country we don't have people who have built sufficient capacity to be called the investors of Uganda, who can do their own businesses with their own land. Lubowa, we gave it to an investor. It has become another issue where Ugandans cannot even be now allowed to access Lubowa. Go to Naguru. We displaced Ugandans from Naguru, that we are going to build low-cost housing estate that would accommodate for the poor people who are Ugandans. Up to now, I'm told they have even parceled the land and have allocated it to themselves. Naguru is no more. If you follow critically who the Chinese Tiantang is, you will find that there is another man behind Chinese Tiantang. It might not necessarily be this Chinese man that they are parading. What would have been the right procedure if Luzira was to be transferred? The right procedure possibly would have been to involve the people, engage the people, and the people are engaged through their representatives in Parliament to say, look, we have Luzira as a prison. The land can be put to better use, well, to spur the economy and provide jobs for Ugandans, acceptable. But what would we have done? The first thing to be done possibly after Parliament has agreed that, okay, let's relocate, a new place would be named. And they say we are putting the prison in this specific place. They build, after building, then they relocate. Or even the process would have been transparent if it wasn't for the corruption that we have as a country. Make the process transparent. You have agreed, Parliament has put a policy in place that, okay, let us build a new home where we can put our prison, then advertise and say there is this land, Uganda Investment Authority, can you look for an investor? But turning State House, for heaven's sake, into a clearing house for land grabbing is something we must condemn as Ugandans. This impunity must stop. Let us use the institutions of government. If there is an investment authority that is drawing public funds for purposes of doing money or of doing job for Ugandans, then let us use them. Why are they there? Everybody who takes public land comes out with a note from State House, and we see directives not even from the ministries, because I saw Kahindo Tafire saying the land should not go, and the president is saying the land must go. This kind of ping pong within our government institutions is something we should begin condemning. We should begin questioning it as a people. There was the Uganda Railway Corporation land, which was turned into a mall. There is now the Mistiru Hotel. We don't know when we decide to get back into the Railway Corporation commitments, what we shall again show. So let us be cautious as Ugandans before everything that we have as a people is turned into personal property. It's our duty as citizens to stand up and use our power that is given to us by Article 1 of the Constitution and demand for accountability from our leaders. This impunity must stop. Before you know it, you will find your homes taken. By the way, it is not that it is long, because I'm seeing people all over crying, big people coming with guns and chasing away people from land. Uganda will be for a few people. If we are not careful, today they may not have come to your door. Don't just remain silent because they have not come to you. Before you know it, everybody else will be taken, to only be you remaining, and they will come for you. There will be nobody to shout. There will be nobody to speak for you. So this is just a call to all of us citizens of Uganda. Let us rise up and defend what is due to us. Let us stand firm and talk about these excesses of the government of Uganda under President Museveni. And we call upon Ugandans, every bit of accountability, ask for it. I don't know where the Naguru people are. I don't know which houses and homes they constructed for our doctors who would have been comfortably occupying the homes they transformed into CMI offices. How long did it take us to build another Shimoni outside of town? How long? What do we say with the land that we took away from UBC? and we have built hotels. So these parastatals that the Honorable Gerald Karhanga talked about, they are leaders. And as Ugandans, we need to raise up to the occasion and start holding our leaders accountable. This is a call to all of us that we don't have to keep quiet. As the parliamentary exhibition continues, let us all join it and ensure that we hold our leaders accountable. We hold whoever touches public funds accountable. It is a responsibility given to us by the Constitution, and we are under duty to protect and defend the Constitution of this great nation called Uganda. And so, friends, you're welcome to the Alliance for National Transformation. Our motto is people first, a new future. And so we all do all this to ensure that we put people at the front of the management of the affairs.
Saying that the officers, the public officers have become the officers themselves, have every reason to say so, and it's very, very true. It's well grounded. It's sad that when you are elected, when you are given a mandate to represent people, what they are saying is that among the 5 or 10 people running, we think you can represent our views, our challenges, our concerns. Now, when you go to Parliament, and then the very actions are the exact opposite of that, I think there can't be more national heartbreaking than such a scenario, or what we've been witnessing in the last couple of months. So it's sad. But I have one appeal to colleagues in Parliament. We are in Parliament, and there are times when we disagreed strongly with our leadership in Parliament. I can, for instance, give you an example. We had friendship as individuals. We related quite well with our Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga. But there were instances where we would draw a line and say, look, yes, we may be friends, yes, you may be our leader, but this is fundamentally wrong. If you recall, for instance, and by the way, she visited almost all of us whenever it was possible in our constituencies, including my very self, including Kasesa. I'm sure she almost all our constituencies. But whenever there was something fundamentally wrong, if you particularly recall the incident of the 20 million that, for instance, was given they were about to give to members of Parliament, and we engaged in the budget committee. So what people probably don't know about that incident is that we first engaged in the budget committee. I was a member of the budget committee. They didn't listen. And we thought we had maybe managed to compromise, to reach a kind of a position, and we don't bring this to Parliament. We say this is not right. We were shocked. Outside the report of the Committee of Parliament, the chairperson runs on the floor. When the Speaker gave no room for discussion, irrespective of our friendship, our cordial relationship, of work relationship, we challenged Parliament. She was certainly not up about it. She couldn't have been. But that's what it means to represent your people. So there is this whole business of, but we've come a long way. Well, yeah, some of the colleagues in Parliament say that with the Speaker, especially those who are even in the opposition, that how can we, how do we even tackle some of these things? No, these are not personal matters. It's not a wedding invitation.
We have always been saying that we needed a constitution which allows everybody to do their work. And so one of the ways through which we want to really push for the trimming of the powers of some leaders in some institutions is to have a thorough surgery of our constitution. While we appreciate the framers of the 1995 constitution, we do find that the constitution has serious challenges that no longer answer the issues of our time. That is, the time the constitution was made, was at a time when we were into a no-party system. We actually had a one-party state, the movement system. It is what we are under. And under that movement system, leaders were elected on individual merit. The Constitution of 1995 gave too much powers to the president under the assumption that the president will stay there for only 10 years and go, because they knew they had put sufficient checks and balances. And we know that anybody who knows that they will occupy an office and leave it, they will not build institutions around themselves. So for now, we would be having another leader who would know that he would be answerable to the population, who would know that a time would come and he gets out of that office and goes back to the same community where he came from. And so the behavior and character of such a leader would be looking different from the character and the behavior of the leader that we have now. To the extent that the constitution that we have did not envisage a situation where we would go into a multi-party dispensation. We amended to cater for a multi-party dispensation, but we did not remove some other sections of the constitution that still never saw the multi-party dispensation coming into force. An example, they say the speaker is supposed to be independent in that constitution. It talks of an independence of the speaker who is going to preside over parliament as an independent actor. But that independence, we can't see it. Why? Because a speaker belongs to a political party. And I talk about a system where we are in a multi-party dispensation. A speaker belongs to a political party. The independence of the speaker is nowhere. And that's why President Museveni can pride in the fact that the one I want is the one that becomes speaker, to the extent that the one who sits in that chair must conform to the interests of the president. When it is the president appointing every officer to get into a particular office of government, it is also problematic. Because it is the president determining who should become the speaker, it's the president determining who should be the chief justice and the judges, it is the president determining who should be the minister, it is the president determining who should be what. This merging of all institutions of government into an individual gives them too much power. This power is not easy to control if you are not a human being who has restraint and self-control. The same constitution puts too much power into parliament. And in fact, that's why you will see that the abuses of finances, the abuse of office that happens around parliament is not easy to deal with, because it is entrenched within the constitution. Parliament is given absolute power by the constitution to determine its own money. And this is the constitution. So to us who believe that institutions must be allowed to work Ramson and possibly trim certain powers of individuals in institutions to let there be a free flow of work, is by having a constitutional review. We need to review this constitution, put in place a constitution that will speak to the current situation that we have, that will answer some of these ills that we are seeing, that if there is a speaker who must preside over parliament, then this speaker must be a person who is real independent, is not attached to any political party. And that if there is any speaker, possibly should come from even the public, and the public must participate in deciding who this speaker is. That there is possibly even a salaries and rewards commission, that any reward to be given out, whether to members of parliament or to public servants, there is a system that controls these rewards, that controls these salaries, so that we don't see people getting too much from the others while others are languishing. So if we have a proper pay system, as we continue to advocate, by the way, for a minimum wage, we still continue to advocate for a minimum wage. That when you go into work, you should know that I can't be paid below this. All this corruption is coming in because Many people, while reaching offices, each one of them is getting as much as they can because the controls are not there. And even the way people come into offices, when someone has been recommended by the president, it's not easy for people to touch him. That is why we found a problem when we were following up the money during the Temangalo saga. The president stood up and said, UNRMs, defend the Secretary General. Here it is not about Temangalo, it's about Temamto, it's your party. And all the NRM people got away from the matter. So the entrenchment of corruption in Museveni's government by Museveni must stop. And we can only do this by trimming the powers of those who hold power. And this can only be done through the Constitution. So you and I are under duty to ensure that we demand for these constitutional reforms that will address the challenges of a multi-party dispensation, but also look at a president who wants to die in office and creates the power around himself to the extent that whoever also gets power, as long as can defend the president, will do everything with impunity to do whatever he wants to do with his office for only the good of himself and possibly the powers that be. These powers can only be trimmed using the constitution that we have. But as for now, very few of them can be trimmed because the constitution covers some people. And you know that is what happened when my good friend Chris Obore said the exhibition is targeting the speaker because the speaker passed the anti-homosexuality bill. It is not the speaker who passed it because the presumption is that the speaker is independent. And when the speaker is independent, is presiding over parliament independently, the issue should not be about the speaker. The issue should be about the members of parliament. And that is why even in this matter, we would say that really we are not comfortable with the way our colleagues in parliament are massaging this matter. But I also would like to note that there may be no many people who will speak about an ill at a go. It starts with an individual. So we appreciate those few individuals who are in parliament who are still on the side of the people. When we were taking government to court in matters that concerned us, who are not many, and many of our friends would say, what are you doing? When we went to court with my sisters and brothers here, including Gerald Karuhanga, to take parliament to court for passing the age limit bill and for eating money from the same institution that they are supposed to serve, we are not many. Many of our friends kept telling us, you people, why are you refusing the 7 years? Don't you think you have gotten 3 years? Why are you even taking the 29 million to court? Don't you have issues to do with this money? We said, yes, we have issues to do, but we did not come here to enrich ourselves. We can only get what is due to us by law. We went to court. Yes, we were able to challenge the 7 years, put it back to the 5 years until a constitutional amendment is made to provide for those 5 years normally, not abnormally. So even right now, what is happening in Parliament, we can do an amendment to the Constitution and ensure that right things are done the right way in the right places. So all this calls upon again the Ugandans, the citizens of Uganda, to hold their leaders accountable and ensure that proper leaders who can speak and stand up in times of trial, times of hardships, are the ones who come to Parliament, but not merchants, not dealers, and not business persons. Parliament is not a platform for business. It's a place where we talk about issues that concern the common persons. And we would appreciate it if our members of Parliament really did just that. And by the way, it is the place where a government is supposed to be held to account. So if you are the one supposed to chase the thief and you now turn yourself into the thief, then it becomes a problem.
Good. Obuyinza Parliament bw'okuteekako amateeka aganyumirwa eggwanga lyaffe. obuyinza si bwa muzannyo, buyinza bwa maanyi, kubanga tewaliyo institution endala erina obuyinza obusobola okuteekako amateeka g'eggwanga. Obwo abulekera Parliament yokka yokka. So n'olwekyo kyansonyi ate kibi nnyo okulaba nti Parliament eyali badde eteekako amateeka agazimba eggwanga, agayamba ku nkulaakulana y'eggwanga, ku mbeera z'abantu z'Abannayuganda, ye kennyini kati ye yasazeewo okusala ensawo eggwanga n'eteekako amakubo geesobola okufuna mu ekyo ekyokubeera mu Parliament ng'abantu. Kati bafuuse abanyunyuusi, banyunyuuta eggwanga. Naye ogenda mu ddwaliro nga banoonya omusaayi mu bantu nga bagamba nti omusaayi mukulu okutaasa abantu abalwadde. Naye kati bafuuse abanyunyuusi b'ensimbi z'eggwanga, banyunyuuta eggwanga buli kaseera. Abantu bavaayo mu bungi mu budde bw'akalulu nga balowooza nti ku luno katulonde ababaka abanatukwatako, abalimu ensa y'okuzimba eggwanga, y'okufa ku nsonga z'Abannayuganda. Naye kati obuulira otya Munnayuganda tukyalina Parliament efa ku nsonga za Munnayuganda? Osobola okukyogerako kweri? Abantu bayinza okulowooza nti waliwo ekikutuuse ku mutwe ogwo. So n'olwekyo tusaba Bannayuganda tuveeyo, twongere amaanyi, tukunga Bannayuganda mujje. Ate awo tusiima nnyo n'abavubuka abavuddeyo ku mukutu bateekako kya Uganda Parliament Exhibition, ne babuulira eggwanga biki eri Parliament eri mu kukola, makubo ki Parliament eri mu kuyitamu okunyunyuuta eggwanga. So muveeyo olaba kati at least eggwanga lyategedde ki kigenda mu maaso. So kitegeeza bwe ttiimu endala bwevaayo n'endala obudde bujja kutuuka n'osanga ng'eggwanga Abannayuganda, amaanyi g'Abannayuganda gagali mu ssemateeka agegeewa Abannayuganda ne gakomawo mu bantu, ate ne bateeka abakulembeze baabwe ku nninga okulaba nti batereeza ensonga ez'okukiikirira eggwanga. Nga tukyali awo mu budde butono nnyo, President Museveni nga bulijjo, kubanga kino si kipya, n'akwata ettaka ly'oluzira nalyo n'agamba nti kati ku luno nalyo lino ndiwadde mu China. Naye kati ntugamba ettaka ly'eggwanga lyafuuse ente z'omusajja ono, kubanga bw'olaba amataka gonna eya UBC yazimbako Pearl of Africa Hotel, Shimoni Kingdom Kampala, erya Uganda Railways yazimba Arena Mall ne Mystery Hotel. Uganda Corporation yagitunda dola emu nusu 10 enoza budde obwo dola ezalinga 10,000. Uganda ne assets zonna za Uganda Corporation. Kweli musajja naye kati nze mbadde ndowooza nti omuntu gw'akula n'atuusa emyaka tugambe 80 kati yalina, kati awo otandika okutyamu n'ogamba waayi n'ebintu ngenda ntya nabyo nja kubitwala wa ngenda kubireka wano. Naye kati omusajja akyagata akyanyunyuutira ddala eggwanga abazzukulu. So n'olwekyo bannange tuveeyo tubakunga Bannayuganda, tutya lino eggwanga lyaffe twali bagenda kulitaasa. Ekenyini ffe Bannayuganda balina okutaasa lino eggwanga. So tusiima nnyo enkola y'abakwano baffe abana bataddeko eno Parliament Exhibition. Ate tweyongerayo nnyo ng'ekibiina kya Alliance for National Transformation okulaba nti ensonga zo kuteeka kwembalira y'ensimbi z'eggwanga ye tulina okuteeka ku nsonga ezisooka okusinga endala zonna zonna tuteeka mu mwanju. So n'olwekyo twagala bateekeko ekibayita forensic ne value for money audits. Embalirira twagala bafune ebitongole biri independent biteekeko audits ezinaalaga eggwanga baani abatuta ensimbi zaffe ate tusobola amateeka agasobola okukola ki ku nsonga ezo n'oku bantu abo. Emmenya y'amateeka tugirabira ddala mu kumenya institutions zonna z'eggwanga. Bw'ogenda kulaba kati institutions zonna ziri kumpi kugwawo. Naye bannayuganda tumugwamu essuubi, amaanyi gakyali mu bannayuganda, kisoboka okwekunga ntulaga eggwanga nti lino ggwanga lyaffe Katonda ye yasalawo nti lino ggwanga lyaffe ffe tulina okulinunula.
Bw'aba alonda ba RDC simanyi oba akozesa nkola ki mu kusengeka nti ono abeera RDC. Kyensinga okumanya nti mu byafaayo kubanga nze ekinyamba nti nze kitange yali DC n'enzaalibwa mu byobufuzi. Kedda baalinga bakozi ba gavumenti. Naye kati ba RDC be balonda bannabyabufuzi be bamu nga tutandikira wansi abasinze okuleeta embeera etabula eggwanga. Buli agwa mu byobufuzi ba RDC baafuukanga jirikiti. Buli agwa mu byobufuzi okumusanyusa okumuwa obweyamu amuwa nti tandikira mu bantu. Naye tosobola kufuga abantu nga gwe tobeerangako na prefect oba monitor mu kiraasi ne bakuba abantu tigenda ofuga abantu nga toyina na teeka lyonna ly'omanyi wabula okozesa obwongo bwo ng'omuntu owa wansi omulimi. Ekyo nakyo kitabudde nnyo ki eggwanga lyaffe. Ekyokubiri okunafuya police. Kino nja kyogeranga part of the police family nti siri mu police nze naye part of the police family nti n'okunafuya police nti tekyalina bwogerero nga tetunnatunulira waggulu mu Parliament ti buli lwonafuya enkola ez'awansi zino ebitongole ebya wansi eggwanga liggwamu ensa kubanga omuntu owa bulijjo edda nedda mu byafaayo ffe nga tukulanga atya w'amagye n'essaawa eno ate omuntu atya omu police n'okusinga owaki ow'amagye. Nsubira nti eno nkola ya president ye gye yayagala olw'okuba yajjanga waki w'amagye naye ekyo sijja kigendako nnyo. Kati bwe ntuuka ku by'ettaka lino eryeruzira ngenda n'entuulawo nembuuza nti kaakati abasibe bagenda batwala ewaffe ebuyikwe gye mmanyi obulungi ti naawe ne bw'obanga ova mu Kampala wano okuvuga okutuuka wano oteekwa okutambula. Meeting yabaddewo ssaawa 4 naye natandise okusambula ssaawa emu nituuse wano ssaawa 3:30. Kye neebuuza kooti ezisinga ziri mu Kampala muno banaatambulanga batya batuuke wano. Ekinkutteko ekyokubiri kyekyokuba nti n'ettaka lye baagala okuwa gavumenti liri ku succession register. Succession register eyo ngenda gyogeramu abasinga tebagimanyi nti edda Buganda ng'ekyalina federal status mu Buganda twalina register yaffe nga twekolera ku ttaka yaffe. Ti omuntu bwe yafanga munnayuganda oba omuganda yenna yalinanga ettaka bwe babanga baabya olumbe eryo basookanga dduloopa wa Kabaka nga balutambuza era omuntu yafunanga ebyobugagga bwe nga tazze mu gavumenti eya wakati nga twekolera ku nsonga zaffe ezaki ez'ettaka ne bakuba succession certificate. Nti essaawa eno Attorney General yawandiise ebbaluwa ng'alagira Administrator General abadde akola ku nsonga ez'ettaka erya Buganda lyonna eriri ku blue pages. Kime blue pages baziggyeyo ku land division zonna mu ggwanga ziri wa Commissioner Land Registry of Titles. Kinaye n'ettaka gye baagala okutwala luzira ligwa mu succession register gye yayimiriza ti kooti yonna egiweereza amabaluwa nti tewabaddayo kukola ku nsonga. Naye ate ne tuwulira nti Minister Kayindo Tafiire ateeseganya ne family kati ngaffe balooya n'abamu bo families eziri ku succession register tugamba nti mulimu abaana n'ebyana. N'olwekyo nkubira omulanga kooti zaffe nti amaanyi gange gakyandi mu kooti era asaba abantu ffenna wadde pulezidenti yalonda abalamuzi ffe tukyalina essuubi kikooti zaffe zikyakola nti ewulirize omusango ogwo oguli mu constitutional court ogwateereddwawo ku succession register esobole okuyamba n'abalala nga gavumenti bwesazeewo nti yeegenze etandise okuteesa nabali gyeyagala okutwala prisons era etuyambe ewulirize omusango ogwo mu bwangu ddala esalirewo n'abo abantu ba wansi
ffe abatyobola eddembe ly'Abannayuganda era n'okunyunyuuta ensimbi ez'omuwiiwa omusolo abasinga obungi bakozesa ssemateeka ono. Ekyokulabirako, palamenti erina obuyinza obugiweebwa ne ssemateeka w'eggwanga nti yeesalawo emisaala gy'ewa abakozi ba palamenti ne babaka ba palamenti. Kati ekyo kiwa omuntu wa bulijjo amaanyi matono okugamba nti palamenti mwewadde sente nnyingi oba zino esente zemusasanyiza temuzisasanyiza muki mu bwenganya ate mu mateeka lwakubanga ssemateeka kennyini yabawaki obuyinza obusalawo tutwala tutya tukikola tutya. Kati ffe ngaba ANT era ne Bannayuganda bonna tusaba nti wabeewo constitutional amendments eteke nedala ebaga eryo eryogera ku palamenti okwesalirawo misala kigyetwala tufune akakiiko akajja kubanga kasalawo buli Munnayuganda yenna atwala ssente meka okusinziira ku mulimu gwakola ate nokwekyo twongerako nti walina kubeerawo minimum wage. Munnayuganda agenda akole nga manyi nti bwe mba nkoze essaawa bweziti nina kufuna ssente bweziti. Naye bw'otuuka mu buli kitongole kya gavumenti naddala bali mu authorities ssente ze bafuna tezoogerwako ne bali mu ministries directly. Ndowooza ekyo kimu ku ebyo ebirese ne bagamba katubigatadde abantu tubazeeyo mu ministries zaabwe kubanga ba authorities ate nga bali under the same ministry ensasula yaabwe si yeemu n'eyabali mu mother ministry under which the authority falls. Bw'otuuka ku palamenti omusala gwe bafuna tegulina correlation n'abantu abalala abakola emirimu etefaanana ng'eya palamenti naddala mu local governments ba chairpersons LC3 ba councillors ate era nabo local government district chairpersons the district councillors era nabo constitution ngebawa powers oluusi ezifaanana n'eza palamenti ate be basokerwako mu buyinza. Kati bwe tulaba kino ekintu tusaana kwebuuza ng'abantu nti lwaki tetukola ssemateeka ennungi, ssemateeka erina obwenganya, ssemateeka ekwata ku buli kintu kyonna ekikwata ku Bannayuganda. Bw'olaba ssemateeka ate era awa pulezidenti obuyinza bungi nnyo to the extent that ndowooza bakola constitution eyo bali balowooza nti nga bwe bataddeko ekkomo mu bisanja n'ekkomo mu myaka bapresidents be tujja kufuna bajja kubanga batuukawo bakaseera akatono ne bakola kozesa institutions eziriwo kati institutions ezo ne zibayamba okukola checks and balances nga bwe zisaanidde okukola. Naye kati ezo checks and balances zonna twazimala mu constitution oba mu ssemateeka w'eggwanga. So ebyo byonna ssebo twagala tubirongoose amendments zikolebwe ssemateeka waffe addemu afune checks and balances nga bwe zaali ekkomo ku myaka n'ebisanja era nabyo tubiddemu. In fact n'obwoteekamu ebisanja byokka n'obi entrenching totawaana n'okuleeta emyaka kubanga omuntu buno bw'aba alina emyaka y'enkaaga n'omuwa ebisanja 2 abamu nga li 70 bw'ajja nga alina amaanyi agamutambuza eggwanga lyonna nga alina emyaka 9 omanya nti ajja kuvuga bw'oba akoze kingi nnyo myaka 5 n'avaawo oba 10 n'avaawo bw'aba asobola. Naye ebimu ku bitulina mu ssemateeka w'eggwanga binafuya enkola yaffe naddala nkaffe abagala Uganda ennungi. Twalibadde tukola kyamaanyi nnyo ekisingako kino naye lwakubanga ebirala byo biri mu ssemateeka naye ssemateeka these differences ezirimu bwe zituuka ku bantu abatalina okwagala Uganda batalina emitima eyagala Uganda bagikozesa bubi. Yensonga lwaki tukowoola Bannayuganda nti ffenna twegatte wamu tusabe nti constitution yaffe kyusibwe emitinge interest z'abantu naddala abali mu multi-party dispensation. Kubanga wano tulaba nti ne bwe tuli mu multi-party dispensation ngaffe abagenda mu bululu n'ofuuna president era y'emu ssemateeka amuwa obuyinza obuleeta awakakiiko akakulira ebyokulonda era naye ng'agenda kwesimba osanga nti tewali bwenganya. N'olwekyo mu kutriminga powers ez'abantu abali mu offices ennyingi naddala ezinyuunyuuta essente ez'omuwi w'omusolo n'obutatutusako services ze twagala ng'abantu kwe kugendera ddala ku nsonga eya ssemateeka w'eggwanga ne tumanya nti abantu baffe bakulemberwa abantu abalina omutima ate era abamanyi nti balina constitution ebawa obuyinza okukola ebintu n'ebirala obutabikola.
Omusumba ye n'asaba n'agamba bagawugule gagende wakunguluma 13
era mbyagalira ddala pulezidenti wange
betwasaba bajje batusabire tebakoze eki tebalabise
tugenda kwekalakasa paka kulira